Yo, 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 this is Dorky Diggity Dave, and today we have a very special and a very rare look at a new featured hero. I bet you can't guess, but you can. Run it. Welcome back, guys. We are talking about none other than Howard the Duck, so stop me if you've already seen this. So Kabam contacted me as a YouTuber and influencer of the MCOC community and asked if I wanted to be part of the beta test, or the, I don't know if it's a beta test, I think it's a beta test of Howard the Duck and how I would use him and give some pros and cons and honest feedback about the hero. And what's great about this is you get to decide whether or not you actually want to do the grind or not, or whether you want to spend the money or not. And I think this is something pretty new and pretty cool, so hopefully you like it, so check it out. Okay, so when you look at our Howard the Duck over here, you'll notice that his moveset is kind of similar to Hulkbuster, and I guess that would make sense since they are both using a mech suit. So he's not an agile character, but he can take a beating. Now, he's got 8 stacks of armor up, and you stack that in with the synergies that they have that increase his armor by 6% each, and then you stack on a good synergy team and maybe add some more on there, and you've got yourself a stew right there. So from that description, you'll see that he has a 13% chance to lose that armor upon getting attacked, which is actually relatively low, so you have a good chance to keep a lot of your armor throughout your battle, which is great for defending. Now, the only thing I'm not sure is, based on those synergies, if you actually want those characters to be on your team. Let's say, for instance, if you're doing Alliance War, are those other characters worth beefing up Howard the Duck? And is Howard the Duck enough of an offensive beast to be able to maintain a win or maintain that particular node, depending on where you put him? So his passive ability, which basically is if he's duped, is kind of like a better version or a split up version of Arc Overload. So, except it has a little bit more options. So when he drops under 60%, he gets a 70% chance to either gain 20% max health or to get 135% of his attack as energy damage. And that lasts for 7 seconds as long as you don't get parried or stunned. Now, if he drops under 30%, he gets the same thing. So he kind of gets this chance to happen twice, which is actually really useful, especially if you make a mistake early on in the fight and, you know, you just don't want to use out some of your potions or your other items. So one of the good things about his heavy attack is that it's linear, it moves forward, it's got some distance on it. So when you're going up against people like Mordo, who are known to kind of dash away from you or get away, he kind of locks them down with those arms as they're moving in that windmill fashion. So he's basically kind of like a Mordo killer. However, now if you're going up against someone like Scarlet Witch, or you're going up against someone like Doctor Strange, you know, you're gonna feed their Mystic Dispersion pretty nasty, because as you can see, it drops like crazy. So when Howard is attacked, or when he's attacking, he gains these Fury stacks that increase his crit damage and his attack by 9.5% per stack. So he does have the opportunity and he does have the potential to do some damage. It's just not a constant and something that you can count on. However, that is a great passive ability that I actually thought would be more in line with the Hulk than anyone else. But the Hulk might get some love at some other point. So his L1 is actually kind of interesting. So what it does is it punches out a portion of the ISO 8, but it basically reduces their block proficiency and attack and a few other things by 6% for the remainder of the match. So, and it's stackable. So the more that you use this over and over and over again, you are essentially taking down their abilities as you're going through the fight. I don't know if that makes sense. So in other words, the more that you use this, the less efficient the opponent is. So I'm thinking that this is something that can work in, say, Realm of Legends, if you are fighting against a character and you just kind of over time want to just wear them down. But as you can see here, that's going to take a very, very long time. So you know, this Howard the Duck happened to be a rank 330, so it's not as efficient as a fully ranked 440 or even a 550. So it'd be interesting to see what that looks like when that time comes. So his L2 has the BFG, which I'm pretty sure stands for Big Firing Guns, because that's exactly what I would choose. So what this does is actually, it does a pretty fair amount of damage depending on what kind of debuffs it adds. So they're all random debuffs. That could either be heal block, that could be armor break, it could be power drain, or poison. So everything's just kind of up in the air. It's all random. RNGesus is in charge of this particular L2, and so it's not something that you can really count on. For instance, in this example here, I'm fighting against a Iron Man where he has arc overload. So in this case, it happened to work, but then in this one, I happen to be fighting against a superior Iron Man, and I really wanted it to do a heal block, and it didn't. So, you know, I took him up against Maestro also, but it wasn't really an arc overload Maestro, but I just wanted to show you what that looked like anyway. And his L3 is actually class-based, so based on which class you're fighting, he gets a random buff, but based on that particular class. And that buff lasts for 9 seconds. So, you know, there's a little bit of depth to Howard here, but not the kind that I would really count on. I mean, Howard isn't exactly my type of character. I love active characters or more agile characters, but he's a tank. This dude is a tank. But as we discussed earlier, it might not be the type of tank that you're looking for. Just for giggles, I took him up against Juggernaut 4.3.3. As you can see, that probably didn't really go as well as I would have liked it to go. He kind of crushed me. But as you can see, that this was a half and half Juggernaut, so he wasn't at full strength. I took one path with and one path without on each way. So you can see that this heavy attack that he does on me takes half of my power as, not my power, but my health, as a 330, and you can just see the power of that 8 stack. It's pretty nuts. Okay, so synergy teams, we have our Howard the Duck, we have our Rocket Raccoon, we have She-Hulk, we have Kamala Khan, and in this particular team, I like to add in Star-Lord. So with Rocket Raccoon and She-Hulk, you're already getting an extra 12% bump in armor, and then throwing in the synergy with Rocket Raccoon and Star-Lord, you're getting another 12, so it's a total of 24% armor already stacked onto his 8 stacks that gives 6.5% each. So that's actually pretty nuts. And you have an extra 10% of perfect block between She-Hulk and Kamala Khan. So you've got yourself a pretty stacked up tank here. He's a defensive beast at this point. The other synergy that you can use is a stun team. So it's got a little bit of power gain in it. So I've got 2 Black Widows, a 4-star and a 3-star. I've got a Hulk, I've got a Hawkeye, and I have Howard the Duck. So you've got a little bit of power gain. You actually also have a little bit of armor in there as well with that synergy with Hawkeye and the Hulk. So when you use his L1 or his L2, you have a chance to stun, a 45% chance to stun, and this is actually really good. The thing with Howard is he doesn't hit very hard, so the fights take a long time, but this is actually still pretty good because you can get in some extra hits right off of that stun. Okay, now the third team that I'm using is Howard the Duck with the X-Men and a extra mutant, or actually Mystic anyway. So we've got Howard the Duck, we've got a Xavier's Cyclops, or Red Cyclops, or New Xavier's Red Xavier's Cyclops. Anyway, Red Magneto, Wolverine, and our class favorite Mystic, and that will be Magic. Now, this gives you a lot of increase. You're going to get a 12% increase in your attack. You're going to get 14% increase on your crits with an extra 50% critical damage, probably more than that. And you have some perfect block and a little bit of armor. So this is actually this is actually really good if you want to be on the offensive and defensive. But again, Howard just doesn't hit that hard. He hits harder with this synergy than with others, but even with this team, questing with him, even though he's got some extra increase in his attack and damage and crit damage, it still takes a little while to kind of get through these quests. Keeping in mind, of course, that this still is just a rank 3 330. So, is Howard the Duck ninja? Or is Howard the Duck not so ninja? Or is Howard the Duck in between-ja? It's bad. Anyway, so the idea is that he is 3 out of 5 for me. Now, if you really love collecting the heroes and you really love kind of building your stable and you really miss, Leia Thompson and Jeffrey Jones and the Galactic Overlords from the movie and you want to have a big reunion, then this is your ticket. You can grind and you can buy. However, if you are more of a fan of the more agile characters, like maybe Mordo or Dr. Voodoo or like power gain heavy heroes like Hyperion, then this may not be your cup of tea. Again, he's more of a defense hero. So you may want to wait and hold out for another character. But again, he's a strong character. He's a strong defender. I think he'd do really well in war, especially if used correctly. And so Howard is there for you right in the arena or in the crystals, so have at it. Once again, this is Dorky Diggity Dave. You just got an early view at Howard the Duck and what I thought and if it's worth it or not. So I hope this helped you make a decision whether you wanted to grind for him or buy for him. I don't think that makes sense. But anyway, so if you liked the video, go ahead and click subscribe, click like, leave a comment, share with your friends, share with your mama. All that stuff helps me out. And remember, stay dorky, and I'll catch y'all on the flip.